Did you know that 30% of kids struggle with constipation at some point? And yes, that includes babies also. And one of the questions I get from parents often is this normal or is my baby constipated? So you know what? We're going to clear up that confusion on today's video. So why does constipation in infants matter? Well, because it does lead to a more uncomfortable baby who is fussy and cries more often, can cause some tearing around the anal area, which are called anal fissures, that are very painful, and it makes it more difficult to feed your baby because there's just general discomfort around feeding, and of course causes a lot of stress for parents because they're constantly worrying if their baby's poop is normal or not, and if what they're seeing is constipation or not. After all, not every straining baby is constipated, but constipation in a baby is important to identify. A true constipation should not be ignored. And so we're going to teach you in this video how to identify a baby who's truly constipated. So how do you know if your baby is constipated? So for one, it's not just how often they're pooping, right? Because oftentimes we think if a baby is constipated, it means they're not pooping often enough. And so if they are skipping days and are going every other day or 2-3 times a week, we automatically think they must be constipated. But it's not just the frequency, it's also the way it looks. A baby's poop should not be like hard, round pebbles, but should be either soft and mushy. So it should look typically one of 3 ways. Either like a very runny pea soup, so very smooth, almost like a puree, or could look like very watery oatmeal porridge. So it's very runny still, but with substance in it. Or it might look like very soft toothpaste. Any of those will be the normal ways a baby's stool looks normally. But if it's coming out like hard round balls, then you know you have true constipation. Other symptoms might be blood in your baby's poop because of a tear in the anus as the stool is coming out. It may also include large stools as well. All of those things can be ways that constipation looks like in a baby. So again, in a nutshell, if a baby is straining, may not necessarily be constipation, because if they're straining and have soft, normal looking stool, then that's really not constipation. However, if they're straining and you have hard stools or large caliber stools, then you're most likely dealing with constipation, and that should be looked into and brought to the attention of your pediatrician. So does your baby have infrequent stools? Well, it may be normal for them. If everything else is going okay, the stool looks normal, because sometimes it just depends on what they're feeding and how they are digesting what they're feeding, because stool, after all, is really just the residue of what we've eaten, right? And so if your baby is digesting a lot of what they're eating, it might take a while for them to accumulate enough of that residue to pass out as stool. Check with your pediatrician if you're not sure, because they can help you walk through what's normal and what's not. So when is your baby most likely to develop constipation? Well, it's usually around transitions, and especially when you introduce solids. Because up until that point, breast milk or formula, depending on what you're feeding your baby, has all the liquid requirements that they need for their digestive system. So how do you prevent constipation in your baby? Well, the key is introducing water right around when you're introducing solids, because you want to make sure your baby has enough water in that digestive system to digest the solids you have introduced into their diet. The other thing is to also introduce high fiber containing foods. And so you want to avoid, where you can, a lot of white rice cereal. Instead, you can introduce other cereals that are higher in fiber content, like whole grain cereals, barley, brown rice, and wheat. It's also important for you to introduce lots of fruits to your baby also, like prunes, apples, pear. These are some fruits that are very helpful for helping your baby move their bowels. So what do you do if your baby does have constipation? Well, if it's mild and so you're just noticing that their stools are getting less frequent and harder, a good place to start will be to introduce more water to their diet, especially if you haven't given as much water, where you're starting from 4 to 6 ounces of water and increasing depending on your baby, because you could have a 9-month-old baby that requires 8 to 10 ounces of water. Another is to introduce some fruits to your baby. So you could do that in pureed form or sometimes even as a fruit juice, but you do want to make sure that you're speaking to your pediatrician about that so we can advise on the quantities depending on your baby's age and size. However, pureed fruits can be a very good way to help them go more regularly. Now, there are other things you can do, such as stimulating their rectal area by taking the rectal temperature, or sometimes in some cases using a suppository. But these are methods I will ask you to speak to your pediatrician about because it's important that they're being used in the right context and done in the right way. So when should you reach out to your pediatrician? Well, it's really important to look out for these warning signs. If your baby is vomiting, they have severe discomfort, fever, the constipation is becoming chronic and ongoing. If something doesn't feel right, I want you to trust your instincts and reach out for help. It's really important that you reach out to your pediatrician so they can help you get to the bottom of what's going on and help you solve the problem. To wrap this up, infant constipation does occur. Sometimes it's not what you think it is, but other times it is constipation. It's really important that you're introducing water and introducing lots of fruits and veggies to their diet to help get things moving. All right, well, I hope that was helpful. This is Dr. Obidi at Partners in Pediatrics and Adult Care. I've been a pediatrician for a number of decades now, and I totally love taking care of newborns. If you're looking for a pediatrician in the Washington County area, call us at Partners in Pediatrics and Adult Care. The number is 301-791-7060. Subscribe to the channel, share this video with a friend who has a newborn because I'm sure that'll be helpful to them. All right, thank you. Until next time, bye.